Night, and today I'm going to be reviewing the headphones that come with the HTC One. Now this is something I find is often under-reviewed or never even touched upon in reviews. It's the headphone quality. Most people tend to just pull them out the box in an unboxing video and they sort of look at them and say that's going to be decent, and I know I've been guilty of this in the past as well, but I thought as this phone is such a good phone for listening to music, and it's also a very high-end phone generally, I thought I'd review the headphones just so you guys know what you're going to get, and if these things are worth using, or if you should bin them and carry on with the headphones you probably already own, or you should get some more. The first thing to say about these is that they are really, really rubbery, and I'm going to try macroing on them. You can see the texture is really, really rubbery, and they sort of almost stick to each other in sort of a really sort of matte way. It's really difficult to explain, but it does seem to stop them getting tangled, and it doesn't feel particularly expensive because it's all rubber, but because the whole thing has that continuous texture, even the earbuds, or sorry, the little ear pod bits that have the drivers in, have got that really nice soft matte rubber feel, so the whole thing does sort of fit together nicely, and it does feel a bit more expensive than just your standard cylindrical tube, because this one's sort of flat. And the rubber, again, it doesn't feel amazingly high-end, but it does feel better than just the normal plastic that you normally get on headphones. There are a few nice little touches. For example, on the headphone jack, you've got the red accenting that sort of highlights that Beats audio, and then also on the button, you can see that's raised. It's nice soft rubber again, just for pausing, playing, answering calls and stuff like that, and that's got a nice red tint to it, which again accents that sort of Beats thing. There's also a microphone on the other side. You can see that. To start with, when you get these, you're going to get three sets of buds. Let's see if I can focus in a bit there. The first ones are fairly small. They're too small for me. The second ones were the ones that actually come sort of pre-installed on the headphones, and they were perfect for me. And these last ones, which are really quite wide, but again, if you've got a big ear canal, they may be the ones for you. But these standard ones for me worked really well. They're really easy to fit if you take them off. You just ping them on to that sort of ribbed design. Again, I'm just going to zoom. Filming this in the 1X. Sorry, on the 1, not the 1X. Get the focus on it. Come on. Doesn't really want to play ball. But that fits on the first ridge. You can see there's this double ridge design, and I'm not sure if this is a deliberate design feature, but it lets you fit on two style of tips. So there's the first ones, which have got a fairly small hole, which just fit to there. And these stock buds, to be honest, are pretty decent. The noise cancellation is way above anything I've experienced with any other stock out of the box phone headphones. I've got the headphones from the 1X Plus here, and you can just see by the design of these, it's got that sort of cheap, shinier plastic. And this is really uncomfortable to use. I'm not sure if mine was weird. I didn't get any foam coverings for this, but it doesn't really fit in my ear at all. Any angle I wear it, it really digs in. It doesn't stay in the ear. It's always falling out. There's no sound isolation, and the sound quality is pretty appalling. Thankfully, though, with these ones, the noise cancelling is really, really good for a set of phone headphones. If you put them in on the train, 2/3 of what you're listening to, what you can hear outside in the train, you're not going to be able to hear anymore without any music on. They're that good. They are pretty decent. And then when you get some music playing, if you've got the volume sort of anywhere near half on the one, then you're not going to be able to hear what's going on around you particularly at all. The other great thing about these is there's no noise leak, so you can have these cranked up pretty much to full volume, and unless you're fairly close to them, the whole carriage, for example, if you're on a train again, isn't going to listen to what you're listening to. They're not going to get annoyed by it, which I think is really important because it really irritates me when people have obnoxiously loud headphones. I'm just going to pull these tips off and show you these, which are the Comply tips, and you can buy these off Amazon, and I've momentarily forgotten the price, but I'll put an annotation somewhere. And you get 3 sets. These are the medium sets. Actually, no, I think they may even be the small, but these work really nicely, and you can see they've got a nice little plastic tube inside, and these fit onto that second notch. So you see the first notch, slide over, and they're going to fall off, or well, they just fall, they slide off, they fall off in your ears. But there's that second notch that if you just gently push, you can see they notch on really, really nicely. And I'm not quite sure why the autofocus is struggling so much with this. So then you get them on there. Firstly, I think this looks really cool, black and grey, but these sound fantastic. If you put these headphone tips on, And I've always thought, I'm not a massive audio junkie, but I've always thought, and my dad's always said, and that seems to have worked, if you put good ear tips on pretty much any headphones, they're going to sound pretty good. I think that's much more important. They isolate the noise much more, they accentuate the bass much more, because just your whole ear's sort of sealed off with these, because they squeeze pretty tightly, you can see there, and then they reform slowly in your ear to really pack out your ear canal, so you can't hear anything outside and no one can hear what you're listening to. And it also really does accentuate the bass. And talking of bass, just using even the standard tips, for example these ones, the bass is pretty decent on these. They're about what I was getting from these headphones, which are some that I bought off Amazon. I think they're about £10. They're the Double Explosion, I think they're called, and again I'll link to that in the description. Really don't know why the autofocus is struggling so much. But these are pretty good. They're supposed to be really good bassy headphones for the price, and I was pretty impressed with these. These are probably on a par with these, and the other thing I can benchmark them against is the Diddy Beats by Dr. Dre. And I have to say, if you use these Comply tips, I'm struggling to find much of a difference between these and the Diddy Beats. And I know, granted, I'm not listening to the highest quality music, it's streamed off Spotify, but the Beats, you can definitely tell a slight bass increase, and you can sort of feel it thumping in your chest a bit more when you listen to it. But with these, you're going to get enough bass kick for the majority of your music types. And I've got a pretty eclectic music taste. I listen to everything from sort of classical to trap music and sort of everything in between. So if you're listening to something really bass heavy, you probably are going to want to get some bigger headphones, because just drivers this small is not going to deliver huge amounts of bass. But saying that, you can easily listen to most bass heavy tracks, and they do sound pretty good with these, and you do get a bit of a bassy kick in your chest almost if you really turn the volume up. And I found that if you turn the volume up over about half on the One, then the bass really starts to punch, and that goes for the boom sound speakers as well as the headphones. It almost doesn't get that much louder from about halfway on the speakers. If you crank it all the way up, it's uncomfortably loud, but there's sort of a nice middle ground of about 3 notches, which all sound roughly the same volume, but as you move up them, the quality increases, and also the bass especially just starts really hitting when you get a bit higher up. So yeah, they're the HTC One headphones, and I'm really impressed with them. I love the fact that this is a nice premium package. Yeah, and I love also the fact it's got the little red accenting, which just highlights the red on the back of the One. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I hope it's helpful. If you've got any questions, just comment or tweet me or Google Plus me. I'm going to start using Google Plus a lot more. That's my sort of late New Year's resolution. I'm going to be using it for friends, family, YouTube, everything. So just see if we can sort Google Plus out, because I've never really gotten into it, but it does look quite cool and powerful. But yeah, so that's been these headphones for the One, and I'll see you guys next time. Please subscribe. Ta-ra.